$899,010 is the ceiling here, from Zillow's May 2026 home value estimates. We're counting down 5 greater Seattle neighborhoods, Seattle plus suburbs, clustered around the $850,000 sweet spot for 2026. The trick with this price point is that it does not look the same from block to block. In Seattle proper, it can mean a more urban setting with trails, bridges, and water nearby. In the suburbs, it can mean more separation from the central core, plus parks and waterfront access in a different rhythm. The 5 picks are all within about $50,000 of the $850,000 mark, but each one makes a different trade. Number 5, Lynnwood. Lynnwood starts the countdown with the lowest median of the 5 at $820,815. Walk Score rates Lynnwood at 71, which puts it in a different category from the most urban Seattle picks, but still gives it a practical daily life baseline compared with many outer suburbs. The park story is a major part of why it belongs here. Wilcox Park is in town, while Scriber Lake Park and Meadowdale Beach Park sit close by. For buyers tracking the $850 sweet spot, Lynnwood is the entry point in this group. What stands out is how Lynnwood gives the countdown a Snohomish County anchor instead of keeping the whole conversation inside Seattle city limits. The neighborhood has a more suburban feel than Fremont, Eastlake, or the University District, and that shows up in the walking pattern, the street layout, and the way parks are spread around town. Scriber Lake brings a quieter, local green space identity, while Meadowdale Beach Park adds a Puget Sound shoreline connection nearby. The main trade-off is that Lynnwood does not deliver the same dense, block-by-block walkability as the Seattle entries higher up the countdown. There is also a price context worth noting before we move on. 4 of the 5 medians were down year over year, and Lynnwood was one of them, with a negative 2.6% change. That does not mean every home follows the same path, and it does not predict what happens next, but it is a useful snapshot for 2026 pricing. At this level, Lynnwood's role is clear. It is the lowest median pick, with park access and a suburban profile, still connected to the greater Seattle housing conversation. Number 4, University District. The University District comes in at a blended median of $882,147. This is where the $850 conversation becomes more urban, more compact, and more tied to recognizable Seattle landmarks. The Burke-Gilman Trail runs through the area, Fritz Hedges Waterway Park sits near the water, and the Burke Museum and Husky Stadium are close at hand. It has a walk score of 77, so the daily rhythm here leans more towards sidewalks, transit corridors, campus edges, and trail connections than the suburban entries. The trade-off is important. The blended number is near the target, but single-family medians in the University District top $1 million. That means a budget near $850,000 is more likely to point toward condos, townhomes, or smaller housing formats, depending on the specific property and block. That is one reason blended medians matter in a neighborhood like this. The headline number combines different housing types that do not all behave the same way. The University District earns its spot because the location is stacked with transportation, culture, water access nearby, and a median still close to the sweet spot. This is also the biggest year-over-year drop among the 5, at negative 5.2%. That figure is not a blanket statement about every building or every street, but it adds context to why the neighborhood lands in this price band discussion for 2026. The local identity is unmistakable. The campus energy, the Burke-Gilman, the bridge connections, and the stadium all create a setting that feels very different from Lynnwood. If Lynnwood is the lower median suburban entry, the University District is the first true city entry, where $850 pricing has to be read through the lens of housing type. Number 3, Eastlake. Eastlake takes the 3rd spot with a median of $872,119. Its location is the headline. The neighborhood sits between Lake Union and Portage Bay, with South Passage Point Park and the University Bridge nearby. The walk score is 82, which gives Eastlake a stronger walkability profile than the first 2 picks, while still feeling more tucked along the water than Seattle's busiest commercial districts. In the $850,000 conversation, Eastlake is about proximity, water, bridges, and central city access all compressed into a narrow neighborhood footprint. The price trade-off is sharper here than the blended median first suggests. Eastlake's single-family median is around $1,030,000. So buyers near the $850 mark are more likely to be looking at condos and townhomes than detached houses. Redfin price per square foot snapshots also show the high end of this group in Eastlake at $598 per square foot. That number helps explain why Eastlake can feel close to the target price while still requiring careful attention to property type, size, and building style. Eastlake's year-over-year change was negative 3.6%, which places it in the middle of the 4 declining medians. But the neighborhood's appeal is not just a price movement. It is the combination of Lake Union, Portage Bay, South Passage Point Park, and the University Bridge. The geography gives Eastlake a distinct role, with water on both sides and a tight connection between residential streets and nearby institutions. For the sweet spot theme, Eastlake is the compact, water-adjacent Seattle pick, where the median is close, but the housing mix matters a lot. Number 2. Fremont. Fremont is the priciest pick here, with a median of $899,010, roughly $49,000 above the $850,000 mark. That is the stretch number in the countdown. But the trade is obvious. Fremont has the strongest walkability score of all 5. Its walk score is 97, and that puts Gasworks Park, the Burke-Gilman Trail, and the Fremont Bridge within walking reach from many parts of the neighborhood. For a Seattle buyer focused on walkability, Fremont is the entry that pushes the price ceiling. Fremont's local character is built around movement and landmarks. The Burke-Gilman Trail ties the neighborhood into Seattle's broader biking and walking network. Gasworks Park gives it one of the city's most recognizable open spaces, and the Fremont Bridge creates a direct connection across the Ship Canal. The streets around the commercial core have a much more urban cadence than Lynnwood or Gig Harbor, with restaurants, shops, and services clustered close together. In a countdown about the $850 sweet spot, Fremont is not the lowest price answer. It is the walkability and location answer. The year-over-year change here was negative 2.5%, which is the smallest drop among the 4 declining medians. That gives Fremont a slightly different price signal from the University District or Eastlake, even though all 3 are Seattle neighborhoods. It is still the most expensive median in the group, so the caution is simple. The neighborhood may sit close to the target, but it sits on the high side. Fremont takes number 2 because it combines the highest walk score, iconic Seattle geography, and a median that still stays within the broader sweet spot band. Before number 1, notice the spread we have already covered. Lynnwood brings the lowest median and a Snohomish County location. The University District brings major Seattle institutions and trail access. Eastlake brings Lake Union and Portage Bay, and Fremont brings a 97 walk score with Gasworks Park and the Fremont Bridge. The price per square foot range across the group also runs from $389 to $598, which shows how much the same price conversation can shift depending on housing form and location. The final pick changes the setting again, away from Seattle's lake and bridge pattern and toward a harbor community across the Narrows. Number 1. Gig Harbor. Gig Harbor takes the top spot with a median of $882,092. It is not the lowest median, and it is not the most walkable, with a walk score of 58. But it has one price signal none of the others have: a positive 0.1% year-over-year change. That makes it the only riser among the 5. In a countdown centered on the $850,000 range, that combination of near target pricing, waterfront identity, and steadier year-over-year movement gives Gig Harbor the edge. The setting is also completely different from the Seattle entries. Gig Harbor sits across the Tacoma Narrows from the Seattle core, so it belongs to the greater Seattle conversation as a regional pick, rather than an urban Seattle neighborhood. Skansie Brothers Park, Eddon Boat Park, and Donkey Creek Park give it a harbor-centered identity, with public waterfront spaces shaping the feel of the area. The honest trade-off is that no transit score is available here, and the location across the Narrows changes the daily geography compared with Fremont, Eastlake, or the University District. Price-wise, Gig Harbor also marks the low end of the price per square foot range noted earlier, at $389 per square foot. That does not make every home comparable, because lot, condition, view, size, and property type still matter. But it does help explain why Gig Harbor stands apart from the tighter Seattle neighborhoods. It is the Pierce County representative in a countdown that spans King, Snohomish, and Pierce counties. And at number 1, it shows that the 850 sweet spot is not only a Seattle city story, it can also be a harbor story, with parks, shoreline, and a different regional pace. Recap. Number 5, Lynnwood, 4, University District, 3, Eastlake, 2, Fremont, and 1, Gig Harbor. Together, they show how the 850 range can look urban, lakeside, or harbor-focused. Every number is sourced, with links in the description. Which neighborhood would have made your top 5? Tap like, subscribe, and tell me what Greater Seattle Countdown you want next.